Chad Johnson. He wants us to trade for Jalen Ramsey. So if you haven't seen the Jalen Ramsey saga, I'll give you the quick rundown. Jalen Ramsey wants to be traded. The Dolphins want to get rid of him. They don't want to deal with his contract. They want to move on, wipe their hands, and, kind of look forward toward a different avenue. They're also trying to get rid of Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey are the two guys they're trying to get rid of. I know a lot of Dolphins fans are upset for a good reason because that's like the two biggest guys on their team. But with that being said, Chad Johnson wants us to go ahead and trade for him. Now, what would a trade look like for Jalen Ramsey? He's 30 years old, still a really great corner. Great in run defense, great in coverage as well. Looking at his PFF grades last year, he's an 85.7 in run defense. He's a 71.9 in coverage. Give me Mike Hilton vibes. Well, Mike Hilton's not the greatest in coverage, but he's really good at run defense and tackling. Pass rushing 76.5. So overall-wise, he's still a great corner, okay? He's still a great corner. Last year, he did, how many interceptions? 2 interceptions last year. He did have 1 sack. He played all 17 games, which the year before when he played 10. So, for the most part, except for 2023, it looks like he stays healthy for the most part. Can go out there every single play and play, which is nice. The elephant in the room is his contract. 100%. This is why Miami wants out of it. 16.661, 25 next year, 26.8 the year after that, 36 the year after that, and then we get into void years, which overall wise we would not be paying this. Miami would be paying the bulk sum of this contract. We would be on the hook for his base salary. So his base salary is 1.255 this year. 10 next year, 10 year after that, and $23.135 million. That's what we would be on the hook for. Now, we would also be on the hook for his roster bonuses because we're inheriting his contract. So, because we're inheriting his contract, we're going to have to also take on his roster bonuses. But all his prorated signing bonus and optional bonus, that's all going to be paid for by the Miami Dolphins. So, in theory, again, we would be still on hook for like $5 million this year, which roster bonus already got paid out. So, we would be on the roster bonus for next year after that, and year after that. So, we would still have to pay some money, don't get me wrong. It would still be a chunk of change. But for all the roster or signing bonus and prorated bonuses, that's all Miami. So, it's not that bad of a contract once you realize what you're inheriting is a pretty decent contract outside of his bonuses. There's also an out for his contract if you wanted it, which if we traded for him, we would not take. But his out is after 2026, I want to say. So after the 2026 season, you can get an out and not have to pay him that much money. And that's put in there for Miami pretty much. So, now we got to talk about the elephant in the room. What is the trade compensation for Jalen Ramsey? I feel like a second round pick would get it done. But the question is he worth a second round pick? He's still going to be 30. He's 30 right now. He just actually recently turned 30 in October. Okay, not recently actually. So he's going to be 31 this upcoming season. Not really injury issues, which is good. I would say a third round pick. I think a third round pick is the most I would give. I wouldn't give a third round pick this year. I'd give a third round pick next year. And that's the best I could offer for Jalen Ramsey. And I don't think they would accept that. I think that they were probably looking for a second round pick or more. And listen, we kind of understand the same situation with Trey Hendrickson. How, they want to trade away Trey Hendrickson, but they want at least the first. I'm sure that they're not going to be outrageous and ask for a first for Jalen Ramsey, especially because they are trying to move him quickly. I think this is a player who gets traded on draft night, in all honesty. I don't think this is the player who last passed the draft on the Miami Dolphins. He was a player who got traded from Jacksonville to the Rams and then obviously went to Miami. So this is not the first time this guy got traded. Again, he's a great player, and I would love to have a veteran in our young secondary to help us out in some capacity, kind of replace that Mike Hilton, but better. I just don't know if, first off, the contract's okay. We have the money to pay the contract. But the question is, if we would even make the trade. Again, I would have to see what Miami is asking for, but I just don't think we would do it. I really don't. And I know Chad wants them, but at the end of the day, Chad, it really comes down to that beautiful money or money capital draft picks, and it just won't. I just don't think it would work. I don't think it would work out in the end, but you know what? The idea is awesome, going out there and getting a big star player, but for how much they're going to probably want from him. I would say if they are willing to accept a third or a fourth round pick, I would do it. That's a lot of capital, but I think this is something that would help us out in the long run and give us and benefit our defense greatly. So I would say a third or fourth round pick, and that would be it. I know Miami probably wants a second. I don't think they want a first. I think they probably want a second. But if you can get to a third or fourth or package, maybe you trade up, we trade down, something like that. I could see that happening. But if not, Jalen Ramsey will probably end up going to the Cardinals. I don't know why, but I could see him going to the Cardinals in the end. So tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. Would you want Jalen Ramsey? He does bring an attitude with him too. He brings a feisty attitude. So he's also the one who fought AJ Green back in the day, and they got in that huge tussle on the sideline. So that's another factor to keep in mind. That when he was with Jacksonville, he was fighting AJ Green. He's a very feisty dude. He has a very feisty attitude. So would that blend well with our team? I mean, we've had some very feisty dudes in the past, let's be honest. We are also the team who had James Harrison and Vontaze Burfict. So we got some feisty dudes, man. We got some dudes that will go out there and they'll lay a hand, They'll go out there and they'll go crazy for us. So this is draft night. Again, like I said, this has to be draft night trade. There are so many players right now who I feel like should or will be traded during the draft. This should be one of the best drafts ever from a pure player getting traded point of view. I hope so, at least. Anyway, guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one.